There you go.
Oh, alrighty.
All right, now here we are. Did you have any? I know we talked about wanting to, like, I was sort of like egging you on, trying to be like, okay, why don't we do like a Godfather 3 Coda thing? But life happened, and I got like I only got maybe about a half hour into the movie, just around the time when Vincent kills those goons, with Bridget Fonda running in the background. That's as far as I got with my stop and go kind of like write everything down analysis of that movie. But I mean, we don't have to strictly talk about. We can talk about anything. We don't have to talk about movies.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have something humorous that I wanted to share with you.
Please.
Yeah. So I saw this in the news today.
Mm-hmm.
Cocaine Bear has found its cast as a slew of names that have just boarded the movie include Kerry Russell, Ray Liotta, and it'll be directed by Elizabeth Banks.
All right.
Yeah. Hot off of making her, her
Charlie's Angels.
classic Charlie's Angels.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's going to become the American female Uwe Boll. Yeah.
So.
And it's based on a true story. Cocaine Bear. Yeah. The true story in question refers to an incident that occurred in 1985 when a drug smuggler had died after ejecting from his plane while flying over Kentucky. So this happened in this country.
Good Lord.
At the time, he was smuggling around $14 million worth of cocaine.
Jesus, oh my
gosh. The entire batch landed in a grizzly bear territory.
Oh, Lord.
Locals found a bear dead of an overdose, surrounded by 40 open packages of cocaine that it had licked clean.
Oh, God.
I'm just imagining some Tony Montana type thing.
Oh my God.
Bear snorts all this, and he's like, yeah. You want to play?
You want to play? Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah, I had to share that because I was like, oh my.
Did you, okay, this was today? You found this article today?
Yeah.
You're like, well, now I know what to talk about. At least I had it open to show.
Well, I at least needed to tell you about it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that definitely, this really happened. Like the cocaine, the bear died of a cocaine overdose. Are you serious?
Yeah, cocaine bear.
Cocaine bear.
I'm sure that this is probably going to be more like they send some people to go find the plane, and it's almost like The Edge.
Okay.
But except the bear is like, I'm gonna fuck you up.
Cocaine bear. Like let's. This almost feels like a follow up to Pineapple Express. I'm not a James Franco fan. I'm not. You know what? I mean, I like James Franco and oh god, the other dude. What's his name? God, I'm blanking out. What's his name?
Who's Seth
Rogen. So yeah, I'm not. I like them when like during their Freaks and Geeks years. I don't like them as much anymore. I think they're kind of jerks, but that's just me. But hey, Cocaine Bear. Who's in it? Who's in it again? Ray Liotta and who else?
Ray Liotta. Yeah, let's see. Let me grab this again.
Mm-hmm.
Kerry Russell.
Okay, Kerry Russell.
Ray Liotta. O'Shea Jackson. And let's see here. Jesse Tyler Ferguson. I think he was on Modern Family. He's the redheaded guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say this name right. The guy who played Han Solo in the Solo movie.
Oh, Aaron Reich. Aaron Reich.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, so it's a star. It's a B level, except for Ray Liotta. It's a B level cast. Oh man. Did you see Charlie's Angels?
No, I did not. There's I sometimes will circle back to movies that I had no real desire to see at one point.
Yeah.
Last night I watched what was it called? Escape Room.
Oh, wow.
Because they have like a second one coming out, and I'm like, that's a weird premise. As like, is it just Saw with like Escape Room? And it's interesting because I see I got it from the library, and I'm looking at the back at the cast, and the end, like, you have like starring so and so, so and so, so and so, and then end.
And
it's like, and it's the Dutch actor, Ulrich von something or other, who had been in not a lot of American films, but I know he plays the villain in the movie Black Hat.
Wow.
And he was in the American version of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh, sure.
He plays the rapist therapist. Or no, he's not a therapist. He's a social worker.
Well, rapist therapist.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, well, they couldn't get anybody famous who's stateside, so they go to get this, like, I don't even know who the hell his name is out there from Denmark to play the villain. So, yeah. That's not xenophobic.
No. But you know what? I mean, that the other day, speaking of revisiting movies, the other day, did you see The Ice Road? It's on Netflix with Liam Neeson, the new Liam Neeson action movie.
I did not.
So yeah, because we were sitting around the dinner tables. My wife and I were having dinner with my parents, and we're like, what the hell are we going to watch? Because we're just, like, have to hit the TV in the background. Of course, Liam Neeson's always a safe bet. Just violence at the dinner table is always a safe bet with Liam Neeson. And that's my dad watched Ice Road, so we're like, oh, that's perfect. Why don't you put it on? And see now, do you want to know spoilers or not? Because it's Ice Road. I don't know if you care.
I don't mind you talking about it.
Well, the whole premise of the movie is essentially like it's like Sorcerer and Wages of Fear, but in Canada.
Okay.
And they have to transport. Lawrence Fishburne's in the movie too, and they have to transport these critical pieces because of a mine collapse in the Northern Territories, I guess. So when I'm watching this movie. And Liam Neeson has this mentally handicapped brother in the movie, and they have this weird kind of like mice and men thing going on. And I thought, oh, this is actually kind of refreshing because you see these things, and Liam Neeson usually does it, like he does it solo for the most part, but it's nice to see him have a sidekick. At least that's what I was thinking with this, and. By the end of the movie, I was wondering, wait a minute, there's a lot, not the whole allusion to, Wages of Fear and Sorcerer aside. I kept watching this, I'm like, wait a minute, what does this remind me of? And because the cast gets narrowed down because of, treachery and, double crossing and so forth, it reminded me of Cube. Remember Cube?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And I lean over to Sabrina. She's never seen it. And I go, I won't be surprised if, his brother and there's a female, a woman who's also a truck driver. I wouldn't be surprised if they get towards the end because that's sort of how Cube played out, right? Like at the very end of Cube, if I remember correctly, it was the woman who helped get the sort of the savant out of the prison. And the very end of the movie, very end of the movie is him walking out, and you see him like walking out towards the light, and that's it. it doesn't play out like that, but I was like, oh shit, I guess it was an interesting callback to Cube, which I haven't thought about in years and years. Very interesting.
Yeah, I seem to remember. What was that? There was. I know it had a very. It had Cube had a very interesting beginning to it.
Yeah, everybody waking up.
Well, I swear, I think the first scene of Cube is like they have like it's almost like a trap where the guy gets. Well, to put it bluntly, he gets cubed.
Right.
Like in cooking terms.
Yep.
With some kind of device, it breaks him up into little cubes.
Yeah. Yep. He gets cubed. You've been cubed.
Yeah. And I was like, well, that's a wild beginning.
It's like that scene in Resident Evil. Remember that with the lasers?
Yeah, which I swear they were around the same time.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's one of those things you see that coming at you. You're like, oh crap.
Yeah. That was on that guy's face in Resident Evil. By the way, he was like, oh shit, it's over for me. And you know what sucked about Resident Evil though? I mean, amongst many things, I'm a big Resident Evil fan. No, really. I mean, I'm a big Resident Evil fan. At least I was growing up. I loved Resident Evil, playing the games, discovering them. Right, watching the movie was such a letdown. And this is from Paul W.S. Anderson. Was this before or after Paul Thomas Anderson got bigger? You know, and before because Paul W.S. Anderson also directed Mortal Kombat, which is probably one of my favorite. Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite video game movies.
Yeah, and Event Horizon,
and which I'd never seen. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's crazy. The Shout Factory had just put out a new release of Resident Evil, and on the boards, all the fans were going, "Oh, please let this be the extended Hell Rape version," which. It's been one of these things where, like, for the almost like the clown that cried, or
Lord, you're comparing that to this.
I'm like, yeah, exactly. Like, long running was like, oh my god, we got to see like the NC-17 version of
Resident Evil
of Event Horizon.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah.
Oh,
and I'm like, okay.
I remember, I saw the cover for that. I remember seeing Sam Neill's face. I'm like, okay, I know I want to watch this movie. But do I really want to watch this movie? Should I watch Possession first before I watch this movie? Because there's like the Sam Neill like Hell trilogy, right? Well, I guess if you want to count, I don't know if you want to count Jurassic Park in that Purgatory Saga, but I know there's like Possessions in there. Do you want to count Dead Calm too? I don't know, but he also did oh my god, In the Mouth of Madness and this. So he's no stranger to horror movies. Which you wouldn't think about it. You wouldn't think about it unless you actually were watching these films and we're paying attention a little bit. Like, oh, Sam Neill again. Like what?
Well, the first American film he did, he plays Damien in.
No, right, Omen, right?
Yeah, the third Omen movie.
Right. Speaking of which, dude, we should talk about Richard Donner.
Yes, yeah. I said to my wife, oh. Richard Donner died.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, like, the guy, he's actually been around. He just hasn't worked on anything, hands-on in years.
Was his last movie Timeline, the Michael Crichton adaptation? Was that the last one he did?
I believe it was 16 Blocks.
Oh, I don't even know about that.
Yeah, it's, I actually forgot about Timeline.
That's the last Richard, yeah. That's his last movie that I remember paying attention to.
Yeah, Bruce Willis is a cop who has to get Mos Def to his court date, and there is basically all these other cops won't let him are trying not to let Mos Def make it to the court.
I do remember this. Yeah. Huh. Wow.
It's almost like a gauntlet movie.
Right. Right.
And it's good. It's a nice, solid movie to be his last film. It was also like 15 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you figure, if the guy was in his like mid 70s, maybe he had one more in him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But he was very vocal in a lot of like talking head type of things with talking about other films,
Mm-hmm.
or shitting on the Salkinds about the first Superman movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I always love the story he tells about the script for Superman.
Mario Puzo.
Oh yeah, which if you look at who wrote the script for Superman, it's like 5 people.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I remember that. Doesn't that come up in the opening credits? This was like with the titles. I remember watching it and remembering the theater back at oh my god, was it the Ziegfeld? They had like this double feature of Batman '89 and Superman, and Superman totally stole the show. Totally, it was like, and it was the first on the double billing too. I'm really here for Tim Burton's Batman, but then after sitting through both movies back to back, I'm like, no, I definitely had a better time with Superman. And no, it's not to change the subject too much, but isn't it interesting? Depending on how you watch something, you just get a different experience. I remember when we were just watching Batman, and it just didn't feel like a Batman movie. It felt like a Joker movie because of Nicholson, right? How could you his presence is so huge, especially in the Ziegfeld on the big screen like that? I mean, they're both event movies, right? But Superman was just a good time. Anyway, yeah, I remember I did watch Superman, at least the opening on YouTube fairly recently, and it was just, I think the writing credits were just like a paragraph.
Yeah, because it's what it is. It's a story by Mario Puzo. And then it's like screenplay by Mario Puzo, David and Leslie Newman, Tom Mankiewicz Jr.,
Jeez.
Robert Benton, who is a writer and director. Was that it? Could have sworn maybe it was more. But apparently the original Mario Puzo script was like the size of 3 phone books.
Jeez Louise.
And as Richard Donner says, he goes, yeah, there was this plot about this organization wanting to kidnap the Pope. And they had he's like, and Lex Luthor's in it. And he's like, and there's a supporting character in it called Superman.
We're gonna turn this down, Mr. Puzo. Just a hair, just a hair. Maybe lose a few chapters.
So, Vatican. He always has to put the Vatican in the story.
Well, hey, we're not talking about Godfather 3 yet. Hold off on that. Hold on.
Okay. We'll save the Superman talk for Godfather 3.
No, you can talk about Superman, but hey, you know what? Here's a good question that I feel like I've always wanted to ask you. This is about Mario Puzo. Have you ever read any of his scripts? Like, have you ever sat down and gotten The Godfather or even Superman for that matter? Like that original draft that he wrote for Superman, and you started reading through it.
No.
Me neither. That would be a little fun to read though. I think for the first 10 pages, and then you're like, what is this?
I will tell you an odd situation.
Please.
Let's see. It was I don't think it was night. What was it? It was a George Romero script, and he has a very distinct way that he even formats his scripts. It's like a cross between a news or documentary script. Yeah, have you ever seen the way they lay those out?
Vaguely.
It's like instead of the traditional screenplay thing of location, description, character,
Dialogue.
It's like the location might just say day or night, but might not have anything else. It might also not say day or night. And then the description is written like prose.
Oh, wow.
And the dialogue, the character names are all on the left side of the page. And there's semicolon or a colon. And then halfway across the page is the dialogue.
Ah.
Which is very similar to the kind of ways you do a news story.
Interesting.
Script. Except usually with the news story, on the left side of the page, you also have a description of the image being shown. Because I was reading this, I'm like, wow. For one thing, it's really hard to read because it's he tends to write very like flowery stuff.
Oh, see. Well, is in regards to the prose action description, as it were, where he would just
in a way, yeah. Like you probably remember from some of the ways I usually used to write what wasn't happening.
Right.
So
that's important in a movie. White wrote what isn't happening.
Well, that's like I was at the two of the best things I ever read in action description in a script. One was from The Shining, and the other one was from
Lethal Weapon. I remember the Lethal Weapon one. Yeah, very vividly. Yeah, you shared that with me a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to paraphrase it because I don't remember it exactly, but it's like Riggs and Murtaugh pull up to a house that I'm going to buy.
Is a hit.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Because that immediately puts it inside your head.
Exactly.
Like, oh, must be a nice house.
Exactly. Well, what was The Shining? What was The Shining action description?
The description is Jack is not writing.
Yes. Did I? Okay. So, did you ever get a glimpse of how? Not early on, but maybe after, I want to say 2001, definitely for Full Metal Jacket, I think. And I don't know about The Shining as much. Because I actually read The Shining script. Did I ever tell you this anecdote? How Sabby and I went to London a few years back. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to be in London, how often am I ever here, right? Let me go to visit the Kubrick archives. Did I ever tell you this?
No.
Oh, man. So it's in the University of London, I think, Art Center. You have to sort of walk down a few blocks from the Thames. And it was a good walk. It was maybe 20, 30 minutes from maybe the, what's it called? The oh, God, what was it? Not the Ferris wheel. Help me out here. I think it's called the Millennium Eye or something like that. The big, not merry-go-round. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I don't know the name. I've never been to London.
No, I've been there once, and it's more. It was great.
I've seen movies. I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so we walked the way, and we ended up getting there, and we had to go to the basement of the University of London art school, I think it was. And I had to make an appointment ahead of time. And when I go down there, it was like this sort of very kind of hygienic, air-conditioned office space, right? And there were computer banks all over the place. And then you go through a set of doors, and then you see like a small staff. And there was a gentleman at the left side behind a desk, and he goes, "Oh yes, can I help you?" And I said, my name and who I was here for, and I remember him very vividly asking, like, "And what are you interested in, Mr. Kubrick? Like, what's your interest in Mr. Kubrick?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just a fan. I'm a film student, and I thought, if I'm here, I might as well just dig in, as it were." And he was like, "Oh yes. So well, hold on. What is it that you'd like to see?" And I go, So I already had like a few ideas of what I wanted to see, and one of them was the Shining screenplay because it's located there, and it was his director's copy too, like straight up. Do you remember the Kubrick Archives book?
Yeah.
They have a photo.
Yes.
They have a photo of his screenplay, of his master, of evidently his his directing screenplay. Like that's the one he would reference, right?
Yeah.
And compile because he kept rewriting and writing and writing over and over again, right? So I set up an entire like sort of afternoon to just look through stuff, and I said enough time like okay, I'm gonna look through the Shining screenplay because like can you imagine? It's like as a film person, you're like, oh shit, I'm touching something that Kubrick touched. This is so cool, right? And you're like looking through the pages and you're reading it. So I read through it all, and what's so funny, Sean, is that I can't remember the formatting. I just remember reading it. And it was, it's co-written with Diane Johnson. And I thought what was so cool, I think I might have mentioned this to you before, but in the scene with Grady and Jack in the bathroom, oh God, now I'm seeing blank. I'm seriously, I can't remember movie dialogue now that I'm getting older to recite on the fly. But the scene I'm talking about in the red bathroom?
Yes.
He gives Jack a poem at the very end of that scene. Like he sort of cuts out, but before it cuts out, Grady slips Jack a poem and he reads it, and it's sort of like this weird incantation. And then I remember reading that Jack slips it into his pocket. And he's like bewildered by this. He's like, what is this? And I thought that was like shit. I've never heard that before. I've never like straight up. I mean, if they ever if you ever get your hands on it or you see it online or something, go to that scene because when I read that, I was like, what? Like I wonder if they ever shot that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nah, yeah.
Yeah. And then I also looked at oh shit, what else did I look at? Barry Lyndon stuff probably. What was really interesting too was because I was running out of time there, and I was like, what should I ask for? And I guess it was like, no, you know what? Let me ask for some of the invoices to Eyes Wide Shut, because apparently they had a huge stack of just invoices from when the film had to be digitally censored.
Oh,
remember that?
Yeah.
And they bring everything out in like these gray trays. Like every little thing, I guess, is maybe like in, I don't know if it's in cold storage or what, but you go in there, you ask for, you tell them what you were interested in seeing. They say, oh yes, please wait a moment, and then give it a few minutes, and then they come out with pushing this cart, and they have like these series of gray trays, and they give you your gray tray and has like whatever movie history is in there. And man, after Kubrick died, to see all, it's so funny. I'm talking about invoices. I couldn't have seen anything else, right? I couldn't have like watched Hal's dialogue, handwritten notes or something for 2001, assuming it's there. I'm looking at invoices, right? But no, it's really telling because you'll see things that Kubrick approved. You see his initials and his chicken scratch handwriting, and then you'll see a lot of stuff by Leon Vitali, and you see and you see. He signed off on a whole ton of stuff. It's like he was like directing the movie from post Kubrick's death or something, because you see a lot of notes by him, and he signed off on a lot of the digital effects that were implemented. Given what I saw in the notes, it's really interesting. It's really kind of like, and that wasn't even 1/10 of what they actually have. Like they actually have a lot of Kubrick's books that he, I think maybe the Short Timers was in there for Full Metal Jacket. Okay. But a lot, I when you scroll, you can look at this online, like even from here, you can just go on to like the Kubrick archives or whatever, University of London, I believe, and then they'll show you a list of what you can access. And this is a few years ago, so I don't know how much of this is like uploaded online, but there's a lot of stuff, of course, on Napoleon. And yeah. So that was like one thing that was like, okay, I don't have time for this. Sorry, I can't do it. I have to cut my losses. I read the Shining screenplay that Kubrick and people consulted as they were making the movie. That should be enough. But it was a cool experience, though. Really cool experience. You should do it. If you ever get like a chance to go out there or something, is just do it.
Okay.
Sure. Okay. Okay. He says. Damn, man.
First, I gotta get out that way.
Yeah. Or we can just maybe do a trip together or something. Just like head out there. Like, okay, Shawn, we're in London. Let's go see the Kubrick archive. Let's go. What are we waiting for? Oh my God. And I don't kid when I say this. It's like Shawn, we should go out to these filmy fan type of things, and like going to LA to see see something at the New Beverly now that things are reopening or something, maybe one day. But now I hear that Tarantino bought another theater. I don't know about this. What was this?
He did. I don't remember the name of it, but I saw that in the news.
Zarina said this to me the other day. I forgot what she said. This is killing me. Let me look it up. Let's see. Are you gonna read the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood book?
I'm thinking about it.
Me too. Me too.
I was really just kind of holding out for the the 20-hour version of the movie.
For me, it's already too long. I mean, I loved it, but at the same time, it's like that part with the his spaghetti western in the movie. That was a bit too long for me. Too long. I remember sitting in the movie theater watching it with my dad. I'm like, this is great, but this section is way too long.
Personally, I loved all of it.
Yeah.
I wish the movie was like 9 hours long. I just liked hanging out with people.
True. True, especially driving around with Brad Pitt listening to late 60s Los Angeles radio. Nailed it.
Which apparently that was the day that's supposed to take place. It's all correct.
No way, really?
Yeah, I guess they have radio like
archives. Huh.
Or it's correct enough.
Right. No shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I had an interesting experience watching that movie.
Oh God.
I didn't know what the ending of it was. And it was really interesting because we got all the way to the end of the movie, and then when the title comes up and it says "Once Upon a Time," in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I'm about to cry. Right. Because it's the movie's not supposed to be taken as fact. It's supposed to be like a, it's unfortunate, but once upon a time in Hollywood, we wish this would have happened instead.
Yep.
Dogs. I love Brad Pitt's dog in that movie.
Oh yeah. Was it her, right? Was it Lucy, the name? I'm not sure.
It was, oh my. Damn it.
Oh my God, should I have to look this up? I don't want to look this stuff up now.
Nah, I should know that.
No worries.
Because my wife's not a big dog person.
No way.
I'm like, nah, she loves cats.
She's a cat girl, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like cats too. Watch a movie, they come and they like hang out on your lap, and you're like, okay. All right.
I can do dogs and cats. I'm more of a dog person myself, but I actually never lived with a cat. I lived with a dog, but not with a cat. The thing. What? Hold on a second. You know what? It's interesting. How seismic was that impact with the Manson murders and Charles Manson at the time? Because I'm reading, it's interesting. I'm reading The Ultimate Evil by Maury Terry, and it talks about the Sons of Sam, right? And how there's a connection through Scientology and the Process Church to the family, right? And it's interesting how it's weird how so much of the stuff that I used to happen to read circles back to Manson. Like, I know it was a big deal when it happened, of course, given the nature of the crime, but still, it's shocking. But how, in regards to this guy's quote unquote power, Like, was he really that much of a Svengali, or I don't know that you've heard about?
It may have been a combination of
The drugs.
the drugs, some pretty impressionable people.
Sure.
The culture at the time, it being a very attractive thing to be,
Commune.
Yeah. So a lot of times what happens is you'll latch on to a group and have that, the community, and you want to have a sense of loyalty and family.
True.
And everything becomes right, and it's us and them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It could explain a lot of that, and sometimes people go a little far, and I'm not just talking about
True.
That.
Sure. No. I mean, it's a universal sort of framework or template, I guess, that human need for to be connected, right? And then once you're so in over your head, and you feel like you're so accepted, maybe, that you just go ahead and just do whatever. I mean, that's cult, right? That's just sort of culture. Yeah. No, I've been not that I've been wanting to read about this stuff. It's just that it's so interesting how these connections that go back to especially Manson. I mean, I didn't follow any of this stuff when I was growing up. You just hear this boogeyman living in this prison, and when you sit down and this actually makes me want to ask you if you want to do like true crime, because I know you read a lot about that and looked into stuff like that as well. If you want to do like a true crime podcast or something, like our episodes at least.
I would, but all the women do that now. So
do they really? Do they really?
I don't think there's any crimes left. I think all the women have taken all the crimes.
Wait, what are you talking about? Are you serious? It's like mostly like a female thing? Or are you're joking?
I used to listen to some true crime podcasts.
Yeah.
And listen to ones different than me.
Oh.
And I was thinking, they even did like a sketch on Saturday Night Live where, what was it? I think it was for Netflix, where if a woman's got like a good, like a nice free Friday night, she's getting into some comfy clothes, getting a bottle of wine, and gonna watch some true crime.
Oh God. Oh Lord. Yep.
Weirding their boyfriends out when they stop by. Like,
what the hell are you watching? What the hell is this? Oh my God, we watched. Speaking of Netflix, this was like a while back. What the hell did we watch this summer? It's on the Sam. The Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker one.
Oh yeah.
Did you watch that?
Oh my, I did. I also knew some things about him prior.
Whoa, what was it?
Well, no, just that I remembered hearing about. I mean, a very sad individual, because he used to. He used to attack a lot of like older women because they were, defenseless. I mean, it's a very cowardly thing.
Yeah, it's really sick.
But I remember hearing about how he was caught,
and
thinking, that is really funny,
isn't it? Holy crap!
Like, I hear the description where there's a couple of different accounts, but I remember hearing the thing where like there was a picture of him in a window of the store that he walks out of, and there's a man standing there, and he's looking at the picture, and he looks at Ramirez, and he looks back at the picture and looks at the Ramirez, and Ramirez just runs.
Wow.
And the guy like with a bunch of people run after him.
Right.
And he tried to like pull a woman out of her car, steal the car, and then everybody just started dogpiling on him.
Holy, yep.
And it was like the scene from Avengers Infinity War where they're all like teaming up on Thanos to get the glove off. I was like, look at that. I said to Ann, I'm like, look at that. They're doing the Richard Ramirez to him.
Oh God, that was good. Holy crap. And then of course,
I got a laugh.
That got a good laugh. You know, it was. I mean, I only know as much as what as much as the Netflix documentary showed, which probably isn't much at all, of course. But I thought it was astonishing that he was in for the death penalty. He acting like the rock star. He shows up, like, Mr. Charisma shows up to his own trial, right? And then gets a death penalty. Doesn't even die from that. What? How did was it because? Was it California got rid of the death penalty and he sort of just stayed around? Is that what happened?
Wait, what was that? I'm sorry, you cut out a second there.
Oh, I did? No, yeah. Well, I was wondering, that he wasn't even executed. Wasn't he given the death penalty?
He died in prison.
He died in prison.
Yeah. I think he died from cancer.
That's so weird. You figured that
he was on death row.
Yeah.
He just never got around to doing anything about it.
Should we kill Richard Maurice now? Nah. let him put it off on it. We'll put him off on it. Let's just wait. He's not going anywhere. Damn, this is terrible. Oh my God. And then you got Jesus. I mean, come on. Oh Lord. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, when I was working, I had to travel around a lot. I used to listen to a lot of audio books, and I'm a lazy reader. I don't think this is the first time you've ever heard that about me, but I'm such a lazy reader that I like to listen to stories. Some audio books are actually told better than I read them.
I can see that.
Like Steve Martin had his biography, and he reads it, and he also plays the banjo during it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I don't play the banjo, and I don't sound like Steve Martin, so some of it doesn't come off as well.
Nah.
What was the other one that Barry Sonnenfeld.
Yes, I've been wanting to read his book too.
Oh, his book is really good. I will advocate that the way he reads his book, because I did do it. It was another audiobook.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that he heightened it. Barry Sonnenfeld, call your mother.
When I saw that cover, I'm like, what? He wrote a book?
They should make a movie based on that book.
No way.
It would be. I don't even know the best way to describe the tone of it, but I mean, they kind of have already made movies like it before, but just the book should be about the relationship with him and his mom, and not as much with
his career,
the entirety of his career.
Right. Wow.
So, but very interesting stuff.
No, I got to check that out because his career is interesting. Of course, the little that I know about it, he was a cinematographer and then he just got into directing. And was his first film? Did he direct it? Was it Addams Family, or was it something before that? No.
The first film he directed was.
It was Addams Family, was it?
Addams Family.
Was it really? No way.
Yeah, I think it may have been.
Huh.
Really crazy. The fact that he came from photography and then moved into cinematography.
Talented dude.
Yeah, very
seriously.
Much. And a big believer that if a cinematographer directs a movie, hire another DP. Don't do your own
cinematography.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is because you'll think like a DP and you won't think like a director. And the other way around too. You kind of need to have
the separation.
A little bit of it.
Yeah. In a weird way that makes me. I don't know. Remember? Okay, Heaven's Gate, right? How. Who was the DP on that? It wasn't. Oh God, help me. See, I gotta get a crib sheet or something. Cimino. He didn't do his own lighting on that movie, did he? For Heaven's Gate.
You know what? You keep going in and out.
Do I really? Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm sorry here, man.
I don't know if it's my headphones. You're asking about Heaven's Gate.
Yeah, exactly. I was asking about Heaven's Gate and Michael Cimino doing his own DP for that, his own photography for that movie. I don't think so. I think it was just directing, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, Juan. You're turning into a robot here.
Oh no! I'm still
It's
connected
craziest
here.
thing.
No. Can you hear me, Sean?
I can now.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe this is a
All
sign
right,
we
Heaven's Gate.
Heaven's Gate. Who was the DP for Heaven's Gate? It wasn't Michael Cimino, was it?
No, I believe it was Valmos Sigmund.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No way. Okay. Like, when are we going to shoot? When the cloud is just right. Let's just wait. Let's just wait for the clouds to be right, and then the clouds become right. 5 hours later. Meanwhile, like, oh my God, what was the production studio that was funding this movie? Was it Carolco? No,
That was United Artists.
United Artists. I mean, where they're like, Mike, we can't really pick up on this movie. It'll be all right. It's gonna make millions of dollars. Don't worry, we'll rescue we'll rescue your little company. What, Charlie Chaplin, Mary Pickford? Whatever. You'll be all right. Just stick with it. We'll weather this through. And what's crazy is that I remember watching like half of that movie. Like, I liked it. I really liked it. I'm like, oh my God, this isn't half bad. This is actually, I'm enjoying watching this. And then I just stopped watching it. It's like, okay, I gotta get back to this sometime. It's like one of those. It's like one of those museum movies where like you just go and you're like, oh wow, I really appreciate this. You know, it's sort of like if you didn't know anything about Kubrick and you just watch Barry Lyndon, you're like, okay, I could see it, right? And then if you find out a little bit more about Kubrick and cinematography and all this, you're like, oh, okay, this is actually a fun movie. I can actually appreciate this on a technical level. But then, you know, that's sort of me with minus the second step for Heaven's Gate, which I still have to finish watching. To anyone listening to this, Sean's going to be more the movie guy than I am. His grasp of films and filmographies is vastly superior compared to my own. That's why I'm just gonna sit down. This is just like extended after hours film school for me. Whenever I talk to my friend Sean here, because it's just going to be like, yes, sir, yes, just please keep talking. So that's how it's going to be. So I'll try not to interrupt too much with an inane comment, at least.
Just gonna put it all on me.
Yeah, you, the Sean hour.
Yeah. I was gonna say the joke is gonna be always like, you know, welcome to. Oh, I had a name for this. I was like, I was gonna say this is what we call the Schwan song.
Schwan. Oh Lord. Oh man, that hurts.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
It's like it's a podcast about
two
literature
assholes
and it's a podcast about literature and philosophy.
Yeah,
and film theory. And I'm here for the dick and fart jokes.
No, see, whenever I talk to you, right, it's because well, I like you first of all, right? But secondly, it's like, okay, well, how can I not interrupt him and make a fool of myself at the same time? I have to make sure that at least I give something that you'll find a little bit funny, a little bit engaging, a little bit like witty enough that you'll be like, okay, you know what? He's pretty cool. I can still hang out with him. He's not that bad.
Oh, thank you.
No, no. I was talking about you thinking about me that way, not the other way around.
Oh, okay.
So, yep, that's that. But man, Cocaine Bear, huh?
Cocaine Bear, right? I hear, speaking along those lines of like odd, like plots for things. Years ago, I had come up with something that was called, I think it was called Undercarriage.
What? What is this?
Undercarriage.
Okay. First of all, I was thinking you're going to say Koala Bear Holocaust, but that's obviously not where we're going.
Oh man, that would have been awesome. Mm-hmm. Except, unfortunately, there kind of was a Koala Bear Holocaust last year with the Australian fires.
Oh my God.
I have to leave that one go.
Sean, I'm sorry, you broke up there. Did you say Koala Bear Holocaust with Australian fires last year? Is that what you said?
I said there was a Koala Bear Holocaust because of the fires in Australia last year. So that project is no longer going to even exist.
Well, this is like the day the koalas cried. Well, thank you, Sean.
But
Anyway.
Undercarriage. This was my my mashup of taking Witness and Christine.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
And it's all about a young man who decides to go back to his to go back to his ordinal after during Rumspringa, and his car follows him, and the car is possessed. So even though I know that the Amish, they ride buggies, not carriages, but there's a lot of carnage of this car like eating people. Yeah. So
I'm trying to summon the literary philosophical aspect of this. It's forthcoming. Undercarriage. Oh, very good night sky there, English. It's as best as I can do. I am not going to venture into that territory. I'm not witty enough for that kind of nonsense. Oh my goodness. Undercarriage. Did you ever get around to writing that? Like writing? Did you ever get around to writing Undercarriage?
I did. I did outline it. I don't know why I didn't go forward with it, because I actually thought it would have been a very good B movie. I mean, like, it would have been quite a gore fest. I mean, there was a scene where the car like follows a guy down an alley, just like in Christine. And when the car goes to ram him into the wall, the guy jumps up and grabs like a lamp above the door.
Yeah.
And then what happens is the car pops its hood.
Oh.
And the lamp breaks, and the guy falls into where the engine block is. And then the hood just closes
like a mouth.
And then you just see like gore coming out the exhaust pipe.
All right. You know what that reminds me of? Nothing But Trouble. Remember
yes.
the Mangler? Was it the Mangler? The Mangler? God, you know what? There's a gem. I remember watching that movie when I was probably like 10 years old, 11 years old. And that was I remember it was on HBO or something. We got like free cable at the time. And I don't know what it was about this movie that I was not shocked or appalled by it, even at the time. I just found it funny. It's like, this is like what?
Well, it is funny. It just has some really odd things in it, like that.
Hell yeah.
Dan Aykroyd has a penis on his nose.
Yes.
And he's like 140 years old. Weird crap like that.
I should start incorporating "It smells like Sao Paulo" in my daily conversations. Like it's something that smells weird. It smells like Sao Paulo. Remember that? Like there's that line with Taylor Negron when they were going into like the swamp or whatever. And he goes, "It smells like Sao Paulo." And then later on, Chevy Chase, like, as a quick aside with Demi Moore, he was like, "It smells like Sao Paulo." It was like the same. It was like this different kind of like delivery that was just like, okay, I can appreciate this. Oh man. But that was a good movie.
It's a weird movie. It's got the diaper babies out in the junkyard. Bobo and Little Doubles.
Okay, that's right. Oh my god, the diaper babies. Yep. I wonder how many people are gonna make it this far into this show. Because I think after that point, it's going to be like, fuck these guys. They're not going to listen to this.
We're going into our second hour talking about Nothing But Trouble.
Nothing but it's appropriate. But you know what, though? I mean, I kind of want to double back to Richard Donner for a second.
Yeah, no, let's do that.
Because it's funny. Because, I always wondered about the relationship he had with Steven Spielberg, especially with The Goonies. Right, there was I think there was a period of time where they felt like actually, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but there was like this home movie of Spielberg's, like, I don't know if it was like their baby shower with him and Amy Irving at the time. And it's like a star-studded event, but it's very intimate. It was like kind of like a Richard Donner's house or something, right? And the impression I got was like were these guys like ever like tight? Like I get the impression that Spielberg and John Milius and were tight. Like they would just go out and go like duck hunting together or something, right? They do like man stuff. But with Donner, no, have you heard these stories though? Like these anecdotes where it's like, oh yeah, like Lucas, Coppola, Milius, and Spielberg were out into the woods and they're duck hunting.
Yeah, it was usually Milius bringing too many guns, and
Yeah, right.
and Lucas like making believe going poo with his mouth.
Okay, well, I'm surprised. And then Tarantino got in the act. Because apparently they invited him out for like one of them, like back in the '90s when Tarantino started getting
Mm-hmm.
momentum, and he did you hear this? Like he had this thing where it was called like the Hollywood Mafia, where it's like, oh yeah, it's Milius, and which he's a huge fan of evidently, Spielberg and all these guys going out to go like quail shooting or something. It's like that's a scene, right? Like let's invite Tarantino out to this thing. Why not? Sure. Like, and why stop there?
Well, yeah, it could be even better. You invite Tarantino and Scorsese, and then nobody gody to talk.
Nobody, because everybody's talking. It's just a one-sided conversation, even though they're thinking they're talking to other people. Yeah. This is like Spielberg and Milius being like, Jesus Lord, what are we doing with these guys? Like this is the next generation. This is what we worked so hard for in the '80s and the '70s. It was leading to this. Really? But yeah, I do wonder about that though. Like I love hearing the little tidbits, like when directors hang out with each other. Like what do they do? What are they like? You get enough of like Lucas and Spielberg, all right, fine, right? They're like two little kids, like playing with toys, I guess sometimes, right? But then it's like when I found out about Spielberg and Milius, I'm like, huh? Really? Like they were like close buds, like kind of like man friends, And when I saw like this, whole movie of this baby shower, and you see like you see not Milius, you see Richard Donner there. I was like, oh, shit! Like they're like, hey Steve, like come over here, let me show you something. And I'm like, wow, did they like really just like hang out? Like what? Like I remember I think reading an anecdote about like him and Richard Donner going out to play golf or something. I'm like, Spielberg plays golf? I had no idea. Like they both play golf. I mean, you wouldn't know it. Like we try to make movies ourselves, and it's like a pain in the ass, right? And these guys are like, oh yeah, let's go play some golf, shoot some quail, let's live our lives a little bit. We don't have to make these damn movies all the time.
Yeah. It's it sounded like they must have been doing something right.
Right.
You making life work on all different levels.
Right. Like here we are struggling to like, at least trying to like fulfill some of our artistic, endeavors happening. And they're like, shooting quail. Like how many quail have to die? How many ducks must die?
How long can I go without actually having to work?
Yes.
Do we really need to direct a movie today?
That's a good point.
How long can we go? Does anyone want to go out to lunch?
Yeah, really.
We'll go out and then after that we'll get something to eat.
Which goes back to that's funny. I remember like hearing about like how Groucho Marx and like I guess that they would go to like him and the other comedians of his time would go to like the Los Angeles country club or whatever, and whenever they'd sit around a table or something, and then when one of them would make a good joke, they wouldn't laugh. Did you hear about this? They wouldn't laugh. They would just tap the table. They would go like this. Like with their finger. I don't know if you heard that. It was just like a tap on the table. Yeah, they wouldn't laugh. If somebody like, would just give a really good retort to something, they would not laugh. They'd be like, that was good. And that was like a show of respect, evidently. Yeah. Like, I don't know where I heard that. I think it was like, maybe I was watching like Groucho Marx, like, life videos on YouTube or something one night a year ago. And I guess stuck in my head. It's like, they would never like say that was great. That was more like, okay, that was good. That was pretty good. They would just. Can you imagine like sitting at this table, not knowing what the hell was going on, and they're just insulting each other left and right, and then all you hear in between is this. You're like, what the hell are they? What the hell are these people doing? Like serving, like if you're like serving their like their macaroons for dessert, and they're just like.
Yeah, very good form.
Very good. Yes, exactly. Very good form. And speaking of which, for some reason I've been getting clips of the Duelists on my YouTube. I've never seen that, and I've always wanted to. And especially, I had no idea Harvey Keitel was in the Duelists. But now that I see some, like I saw some like him and David Carradine. Was it Keith Carradine or David Carradine in the Duelists?
It's Keith Carradine.
Pretty good. It's like Ridley Scott watched Barry Lyndon. And he's like, enough with that shit. Let me just put the swords fights. That's the impression I got. No lie, like I have no idea what the deal is about aside from like, sword fighting based on what YouTube clips I've seen, and it's pretty good too. It reminded me of the form in Yojimbo and Sanjuro, especially the last fight in Sanjuro, which was really good, very bloody.
Yeah, is that where he
the geyser
sliced the guy and he
Yep.
The condom squibbed out and
yeah, it was like a torrent. It wasn't a condom, Sean. It was more like a geyser. It was more like a lot of cum. That's it. It wasn't a geyser.
I thought that they used to use those. They used like prophylactic.
Yeah, I remember hearing the same thing, and but it's really kind of what's frustrating to me when you learn about making movies and so forth. How like crazily practical a lot of this stuff really is. And then what sucks is that when you get to be around people who know this stuff and then some, they have their own language. It's like any other craft, right? They have their own language. They have their own codes, and their own street smartness, as it were. And then you're just like a babe in the woods. You're like, what are you guys talking about? And it sort of sneaks into the text. Like I took this cinematography course over the winter time, right? And I bought cinematography, this book by David. I was gonna say David Blaine. Blaine Brown. I don't know. I have it upstairs. Anyway, and the terminology sneaks in, and you're like, shit. It's so like. I know, like I said, every trade, every craft has its own language, has its own idiosyncrasies that you have to sort of pick up on if you want to be like, even mildly respected in it. But you read this stuff, and like the prophylactic tricks, right? That you just talked about, and you're like, shit, man. Is it like that? You just have to be insanely inventive all the time and have the effects be on point, as it were. That the final product, when people take a look at it, they just become in awe, hopefully, that they want to engage with you. And you're like, okay, how did you do this? How did you do that? And you start telling them, and you're like, okay, I did this with this, and I did this with that. And then they give you a look where you hope they would give you a look where you'd be like, okay, you're one of us now. That is something that I don't even know if I'll achieve in my lifetime. I have no idea. It's just you have to be in the same crew.
Yeah. I oftentimes used to kind of think like, I don't know, trying to think of how you can do tricks and get away with certain things, and I'm like, maybe I just don't have that mind.
Right.
When it comes to that, it's like you might be a problem solver, but it doesn't mean the solution you come up with is the one you is the best way of doing it. What was the? I had a story that went along with that.
Oh, please.
Oh, I do remember back at SVA, we had somebody who came to do like a talk about something, and one of the instructors was like, "Don't be asking how, you should ask why." And this person in the class said, what if I don't care why they did it, but I kind of want to know how they did it? And that's what's important to me. And like the response back from the instructor is like, well, then I don't think that you're thinking correctly about this.
Oh, Jesus.
And meanwhile, I do believe that they did go ahead and go, how'd you do this?
How'd you do it? Oh, man. Yeah.
Which became like a topic of conversation at the next class. Like, why is it so important for you to know how? And it was like, well, because there's something that I wanted to do, and I see it in my head, and it's a feeling that I have. It's my why.
Right.
And I need to know how I can help translate that. I was like, me asking them why doesn't help me.
Right. It's just it's like learning how the technique, and then if you like grasp it, then maybe you can get the why. You can derive the why inside, right? It's like, okay, yeah. See, that shouldn't be that. That's sort of like where the bridge sort of collapses, right? Where in wanting to be, blunt and honest about certain things, especially in an academic setting, it just becomes so. It sort of is looked down upon, right? It's like you're not supposed to be that crass, as it were. You're supposed to have some sort of like higher intent, right, or respect when someone comes in. Let's just say this great sage comes in, or this great magician comes in, as it were, and they're like, we'll do a master class, and we'll just, graciously present motions that, as a student, you should absorb with every fiber of your being during this presentation, and then from then on, somehow derive a motion or interpretation of. Whereas you're just kind of like, fuck it, I just want to know what the hell the guy did. It's kind of what's sad. I think it's been like this for, I guess, academia, right? For like who knows how long, right? Where it's like you're not supposed to be that quote unquote base, right? Which kind of sucks, because at the very end, it's like that's what kind of counts. That's what sort of is like the gateway, I think, to learning on one level or another. Maybe the basest, purest level. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is true.
Well, that's just frustrating though, because I mean, you want to try to be respectful, but not sound like an asshole at the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I mean, especially in SVA, it was like, trying to put our best foot forward, right, and not realizing that by doing that, you don't even realize you have one shoe tied to another many times, and then you fall flat on your face, but you still try, right? I mean, that's what school is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's. I see. I'm trying to think. It was a. I think I was in a production class. It might have been freshman year, and I don't know. It's interesting because it's always like the people you see your freshman year are not going to be the people that not everybody you see is going to be the people that are there the last day.
Yeah.
And often wonder, well, am I one of those?
Yes.
What the hell just happened to the lights?
Yeah, my lights are flickering too, actually. Is it because of storms? Is it because of the hurricane, or what's left of the hurricane?
Did it make it? I thought it was supposed to be like early morning. Now we're back to weather. This is weather talk.
This is weather talk. ShJuawn's weather talk. But no, you were saying you were bringing up a good observation there, where it was on your first day there, is it the people are they going to be there on your last day? I mean, the class at least, or at least the whole run.
Yeah, one of the things that I think I don't regret maybe focusing my energies toward, writing.
Mm,
And you'll hear a lot of this in the this little side thing I got going
sure.
on, which I joked with Ann. I'm like, I could see, if Juan ever like watches this thing, he's going to be like, "Oh my God, I know what he's talking about," or "I know who he's talking about."
Yep. Most likely, I guess. Yeah. Oh man.
Like the thing was though, I was always planning on pursuing probably the screenwriting part because I kind of wanted to test it out and see what I could do to maybe figure out how to become a professional.
Sure.
Uh,
I still think you can
where,
do it. By the way. Yeah. I
well,
mean. I mean.
before I lose this thought, let me
Yes,
just get
please.
this out.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And the thing that worried me about doing the production side was that I might have gotten myself stuck in a technical area where I felt like I stifled myself.
Mm.
I mean, I was 23 at the time. I didn't really know. I knew that I wanted to do something, and I wanted to give this a try.
Sure.
And so from my final project freshman year, I wanted to actually do something a little screwy.
Mm.
And I do remember that the instructor was just like, I think this is a really big mistake. You should be focusing on doing this, blah, 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 blah.
Mm.
And I was like, I didn't really have the heart to tell him, I don't give a fuck, man. I just
I don't fucking care.
I was like, I wanted to just do something really abstract. I'm like, I'm going to be doing screenwriting next year. Like,
Get off my back, bro. Come on, bro. Get off my back.
And because of all the kind of the little hassling that I got in this one-on-one meeting, I just decided I just did something really safe.
Mm.
And I look at what I did and I'm like, wow, how uninspired and not trying to do something at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I almost think that if I had tried to do something a little more fun, a little wacky,
Yeah.
it would have been a little more freeing.
Yeah.
Because it was going to be something a little more abstract. It was going to be a little more dreamlike. I had no idea whether or not I was actually going to be able to make it, but I figured I would give it a try. I just always kind of think about that. And it's funny because during junior year when I did the production on Burnt Up,
Sure.
I again was actually aiming to try and do something that was going to be more of a slasher movie.
Oh God.
And ended up filming stuff that just does not cut together as a slasher movie. It's unfortunately, the Spanish guy, he edited it into this tone poem.
What an asshole.
Yeah, I know.
Tone poem. Oh Jesus. But hey, I mean, it was a
I
good
think there was
tone
a
poem.
point there, but it's
Well, I mean, from my end, I felt when I I should probably do offer a sort of a brief explanation here. So at SVA, I don't know if they still do this at SVA, but back when we went to SVA, from 2002 to 2006, first for film especially, first year was generalized, and then at the end of your first year, if you're doing the full bachelor's, second to fourth year, you have to pick a major, you have to pick a specialization. Some people pick two, more than one at least, and maybe I should have done that, should have totally burnt myself out. But instead I decided to focus on screenwriting because I figured, okay, at the time, I thought, okay, you know what? I don't have a grasp on what, maybe I still don't, I don't know. I don't have a grasp on what it is what words you have to use and what structure you have to use to communicate a full story in cinematic, in terms of a cinematic language, I guess. And that's sort of the approach I had when I decided to choose that. Maybe I was a little bit intimidated by the directing course, but at the same time, I just felt like I was going to be another like head in the majority there, because like our screenplay class was like what, at most 20 people, as opposed to the directing majors. There were up in the hundreds, like hundreds of students were doing directing. At least that's the impression I got at the beginning of second year. I don't know if they ever like lasted that long until the fourth, but excuse me. So I thought, okay, maybe what I can do was, okay, if I do like sort of a deep dive into this stuff, then somehow something will click. and then that will sort of give me sort of at least I hesitate to use the word literary advantage, but something that's structurally advantage. And then that was, for me, that was so, it's not that it was hard. It just became very, very dense, because I think one thing that contributes to having an effective, to communicating an effective vision of something, especially in a visual format, especially like something like film, you have to be crystal clear on what you want, like throughout. You have to be whenever you hear David Lynch talk about what he wants when he directs, it's so lucid and clear, most times anyway. That right? No, but seriously though, it's like you get the impression. You get the impression it's like this guy has it. It's this very lucid, tactile thing that he just communicates to people, and his crew, his actors, and so forth. That's inspiring to watch to somebody like me, where it's like, okay, how do you you stumble over your words, you try to find out what it is that you want to say, and so forth. But it's actually, when you parse it back, it's actually way simpler than all of that. It's just making sure that you have this idea in your mind, and if you, like Link says, you fall in love with it, then you start to communicate it regardless of what people think of it. Now it's easier, I think, maybe in the film industry, once you have the funding and you have the crew and you have your trusted people around you, where they're, basically just saying yes to you all the time. Like, okay, what do you want, Mr. Lynch? What do you want? Like a monkey and a guy with one arm? You got it. Yes, yes. It's like the behind the scenes of Inland Empire, right? And it's like he'll ask for these absurd things, and you're like, what? And then sure enough, but of course, if you know that world, then this stuff is like, these are ingredients. These are elements that are put into place, and not to give you a big ego, Sean, but it's like the reason I said earlier is like you can still do your screenwriting career or whatever, is just that when I was going to school with Sean, he's heard me say this many times, but Sean was like, or still is, I should say. I just haven't had the pleasure of, reading his work in a while. Crystal clear in his work. And I think I echo. Remember when you had that acting class with Jua Lee? And Jua Lee, and you communicated this, because I wasn't there, obviously. So you communicated this event to me where it's like Jua Lee described you as being was it a master technician of your craft, something like that? That always stuck with me. So
yeah, I think she might have been referring to the fact that I did a lot of eye acting.
Eye acting? Okay,
acting,
well, that's why when I think of the technician of your craft comment, I always think of that as screenwriting, because it's like that's when Sean would bring a screenplay, very precise. He knows exactly what. He was always very calm. Like whenever he talks, as you know, like the people listening to this, when he talks, aside from the bullshit, he's no bullshit. And he knows exactly what he wants. He comes in. You know what? Can I ask you a question about that? Now that we're here, how often do you struggle at all with knowing what it is that you want from like, the little bits in the movie, or little scenes, or the little ingredients or character? How much of that is sort of like flows that you just sort of just comes out, and how much of that is that, okay, I know I wanted to be just like this, and I have to struggle to get there, and let me just tinker with this or that, and maybe it's an interior process kind of stuff. I haven't really thought about this in regards to you in a while, so I always wanted to ask.
Some of it was easy, and some of it is, more of a difficult discovery. Really, I will put some discipline in the craft of knowing how to map out your story and your scenes.
Sure.
As much as it could be like, there's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end. You're going to hook somebody toward the beginning. You're going to give them the reason to stay. You're going to give them some twists and turns, and show them, make them want to care about what's going to happen next. I said this in class one time, which almost caused a fight, which is
I don't care. Right.
And it wasn't meant to be an insult.
No.
But the way that I wrote, and this sounds really pretentious, was that I used to come up with I never did cards, which is funny because now I do. But I never used to map out my scenes with cards and put them on a wall and try and figure things out. I used to come up with scenes, mostly just scenes, ideas of what the scenes are supposed to be about. And then I would come up with some kind of structure. Sometimes I would figure out that I was missing stuff, and then what I would do is each scene I used to play to myself to try and figure out how certain emotions or motivations would come out.
Right.
I used to just do this stuff all the time.
Right.
Which is one of the reasons why I used to write very fast.
Yes.
Not everything was great, but the best compliment I got was the fact that at least I was always working.
Yeah, and you'd have your stuff always felt more put together. There was this intrinsic connections that were happening. And on the other side of it, though, because I was that Spanish jerk that worked on Burnt Up that he referenced earlier. On the other side of it, because Burnt Up was this short that he had shot that he invited me on to, junior year, right? And I guess stayed. It overstayed its welcome. And I was and because I had editing software, and I'm like, fuck this, I'm gonna edit this. Why not, right? And I was like, Shawn, can I do this, that, and the other with it? And he's like, sure, just go on ahead. You waste your life with that movie. And I started working on it, and no lie, part of it, one reason, did I tell you this? So one reason why it took so damn long was because I just took notes on every scene. That was like my student part of me coming out. We're like, okay, I want to take notes on every scene and see how these things sort of gel together. And that was a shocking experience because you find all these different connections that totally slip by you. And if you permit me, I'll like to illustrate. There was this one shot. I don't hope we're not like jerking each other off here, but seriously though, this is like when you down in the nitty gritty of like making movies. This is what happens, right? When you're trying to put this stuff together. There's this one shot. The whole scene is that this girl is having nightmares, and this is impacting her waking life, right? On the very sort of superficial interpretation of the scene, right? And the nightmare, well, it kind of felt like that nightmare. It was a scene that came later in the movie, in regards to like maybe it was like a hand or an arm being chopped off, because the history of the house that this person, no, really. Right. Okay. Well. Okay. He's like having a ball here.
It's a bad effect. I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It was like, it's in the movie. It's what counts. So I saw this thing and I'm like, what? How the hell does this fit into this? And no lie, the morning after shot, as it were, right? Of she's sitting at the table, and the way it's the composition is set up is that it's sort of like a medium shot, and you see her at the table looking kind of like catatonic. And in front of her is like, this box of Lucky Charms. But the way I don't know if you did this intentionally. I thought this was great. That the way the box of Lucky Charms is set up isn't exactly, you don't see the full text of the box, the way I saw it was instead of Lucky Charms, you'll see late icky arms because it's supposed to be chocolate Lucky Charms. So I'm like, oh shit, wouldn't it be fun if we put this right after the arm dream? And then you'd have that extra dimension if you're looking for it of what she might be thinking about. Not that you need it probably, but that presence is there. It's like subtext. So that's the kind of stuff. Did you know that? That's the kind of stuff that I was just digging. That I was just digging. And I was like, okay, I'm taking these notes, and then all of a sudden something would click, and I'm like, oh, this would be fun if we put it that way. So, hey, you know what? On the other side of it, it's like and I don't know if this is because of your process too. It's like once you get into the nitty gritty of stuff and you act it out and you try to, do your technique and your engineering of how the scenes should go. And then taking it step by step, through casting, through the actors, and through the direction, and then through shooting it, how much everything kind of comes together. Not even in a linear way, right? Because you'll be like, were you thinking about the arm reference when you were shooting that box of Lucky Charms? I mean, no,
not at all.
I don't think so either. So when I saw the word just right there, I'm like, holy shit, this is perfect. I just was sort of like the movie
That's
got
like
smiling.
Some Stanley Kubrick shit.
I'm not
on that level.
But still, it was one of those things where it's like, wow, this is actually kind of precious. I have to. It would be criminal of me to sort of neglect that, because if anybody ever finds out about this, tone poem that we did, then they're gonna be like, wait, why did they do it like this? Oh wait, they could have had this. They could have had the golden opportunity to put the arm shot after this shot. Man, they're idiots, assholes. Then what are we doing with our lives? It's like why do we even practice what we preach? We don't even do that. We're like, okay, we'll just throw this shit together and forget about it. But yeah, that was part of the fun of putting that together and experiencing the fucking craft that happened. That was like, Shawn, this is fantastic. You're genius, dude. I can't believe there it is, that G word, right? We're just finding stuff out, and you don't even know this stuff's there. I couldn't tell. For me, sort of Burnt Up was kind of like you know what? I won't say it, just in case people do get a little bit intrigued and not put off by us. They want to see it eventually. If you want to see Burnt Up, go to nolanfilm@gmail.com. And you reach out to Mr. Sean Nolan, and then he'll hook you up with a copy. Hopefully, I don't know. Do you still have any of those DVDs left?
I'm not sure where they are.
Oh my god!
Isn't it still on? You know what? It used to be on my YouTube page. I think it's still on yours.
It's still on mine. Yeah. But you know what sucks though? I know the movie's too dark. I get it. But at the same time, I remember really watching that movie on different screens after I was color timing it, or doing the saturation, I guess. And I swear to you, when you pop in the DVD and you watch it, on the DVD, it looks, I guess, as bright and as clear as it should, given what it looks like. And then on YouTube, it just looks like murky and dark, that's why I was like, this is one of those movies you have to watch in the dark and you have to experience it. But I don't even know if people do that anymore. I guess they still do, right? But I don't even know if this would be worth it, sadly. I don't know. I mean, I love that movie to bits and pieces, but it's like one of those things where you want it to go out into the world and do its wonders, and you're like, oh man.
I remember I submitted it to the Coney Island Film Festival.
Oh Lord.
And this guy, I got contacted and said that it got refused because it's too long. And meanwhile, it fit within the parameters of time. So, I guess, that sucks. I was always kind of hoping to see it in a public forum.
We could still do it. I mean, we can rent out. I mean, really, we can rent out a name like an AMC or something, and just.
Nobody goes to the movies anymore, so we could probably rent.
Yeah, it would be fitting, right? For a movie nobody watches, we'll rent a movie theater that nobody will come to see. It's it's sort of perfect.
We can make it a double feature, and then they can stay and watch Norbit.
No, please don't do that. Oh well, at least Eddie Murphy's going to be headlining us. That's pretty good. Like come for Burnt Up, stay for Eddie Murphy, and then like and find Print in Norbit. You know, it's not even Trading Places. It's not even good Eddie Murphy. It's arguable.
Yeah.
It's not even good Eddie Murphy. It's like 90s Eddie Murphy. Oh man. But still though, I mean, shit. You know what though? I mean, to vent a few frustrations about Burnt Up though, but still, this is like a life lesson, right? Where you can put in like almost 1,000% on something, like really commit to it, and want the best for it. And I was always hoping, like, okay, look, I'm hoping I'm always doing the right moves with this, because this is not my movie. This is Shawn's film. And I wanted to just, you know what, there's something there, and he was giving me an opportunity to just bring it out. And, dude, he gave me the opportunity. And there would be like weeks and weeks where I just think about this movie. And you know what? It's like a child. You just kind of want the best for this thing. You just want, like, okay, well, like, how do I, with what I have, with the resources that I have, right, or the skill or talent or whatever that I may or may not have, how do I provide the best for this, in a weird way, living thing, right? It's not like, you know, I wanted to put it in like a thing where with the stars and so forth, and you know, have it like dawdle for like a whole, you know, minute or 2 minutes or whatever it was. I guess because I guess felt like this was part of the experience that I guess lent itself to like another dimension to what this thing was. And it's like you see like these ingredients that drop into place, and then when you finally feel like, okay, this is what it's gonna be, what is it? You know, and this is when you came in like, Shawn, what do you think of this? And you're like, okay, you know what? What did you say to me? You're like, you even created a whole Facebook group on it. You were like, what was it? It was called, I don't understand Burnt Up, but there's something to it. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'll take that. Sure. Why not? I've been taking it for the rest of my life anyway. Sure. We can just you can just stick with that. That's fine.
That's like, I don't understand it, so it must be art.
It's very artsy. Very artsy. But still, though, it was fun. Oh yeah, it was fun, and it was like kind of like, okay, you know, that kind of like was like a meta moment when I was editing that, because I put so much time into it that I did truly feel burnt up by the time I got to the end of it. I'm like, Shawn, I can't do this anymore. No, I'm serious. I'm not trying to even like jerk your chain or anything. It's like by the time I got done with it, like I don't know what to do anymore. I have to like do something else now, because it's just, you know, I mean, it's like, do you really know when it's like, well, you have children. I'm on my way there, right? When you want something to work so badly that it's like, oh, I hope people get it, you know, and the tragedy that happens when it's like not quite there, not so fast, doesn't work that way.
Okay.
Yeah. But anywho, life moves on, right? Always love hearing about what you got next. And not that that's a prompt for you to talk about what you're going to do next, of course, but...
Oh, sure. Okay, so let's talk about this next thing.
Sure. Wah, wah. But, really, though, I mean, I think... Let me tell you something. I think, really, you should go back into this thing. You should go back... I mean, if this is where your passion is, if this is what you really want to do, you should fucking do it now.
Well, I mean, I do have something that there's levels to this. I mean, for one
Sure.
thing, it would be nice to find some way to try and, you know, monetize your talent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I get into a little bit of this with this, I don't know what you would call it. I guess we'll just call it a non-narrative project. Which is that's my new expertise. Every movie I make now is just going to be some non-narrative project.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, I do.
Like,
I think I do.
Like everything is almost kind of like F is for fake. It's going to feature me with a beard and bloated.
Bloated.
Just like Orson Welles in F is for Fake.
That's
doing,
right.
crappy magic. And actually, his sleight of hand's pretty good in that movie.
Yeah.
And there's going to be some documentary to it. There's going to be some truth, a lot of lying, and you're not going to know what is what. So blurring the line between what is going to be real and what's fake. Yeah, and you want to know what the name of this non-narrative project is called?
I love this. Here we go.
Here it goes. Brum-bum. The Hemogoblins.
Yes. Sean shared with me before. Yeah, the Hemogoblins.
Yeah, and then I got my my story that's all written out in cards on my poster board here. I got a cork board on my wall.
Beautiful
and
cork.
That is, I have many really bad titles for it, so we'll just call it. What the hell was the last one I had? Babe got her gun.
Yeah, Babe McTeague.
Babe McTeague.
Babe
Yep.
McTeague.
Did I ever tell you about the pit of kittens?
Can we just use that
I'm
as
finally going to get
the
the pit of kittens. It's making its way into a script.
Please say Pit of Kittens again.
Pit of
kittens.
Pit of kittens.
That's like, Brad Pitt's title in Game of Thrones, Pit of Kittens. No? Wow, that's gotten no response. Never mind. Let's just move on then. All right, so do you want to go into this or what?
What, the pit of kittens?
Yes, the Pit of Kittens.
Okay, well, I'll just tell you this one part.
Okay, yes.
So, Babe McTeague gets into a hand-to-hand fight with a guy. Gets the upper hand on him. I think this is the fight where she suffocates the guy with her breasts.
You think?
Yeah, I think it is. And then while he's disoriented, he falls into like a what's the best way to describe? I don't want to make it sound like it's a Joker thing, like a vat of chemicals, but he falls into like
A pit of kittens.
call it just a vat of kittens, and he disappears into the vat of kittens.
Does he have like a hand moment where his hand comes out of the Pit of Kittens holding into the kitten?
His hand is like, and then one thing is you just see like him, like quicksand, getting lower and lower.
Yeah.
And you see his eye, and then all of a sudden the eye gets covered up with fur, and then you just see a kitten face, like close up. If you were writing this in a script, it'd be like close up, kitten face goes. As Babe McTeague goes, "Oh my God!" That was. I don't think I'm going to sleep tonight.
Even
That
she's
was the most
astonished.
disturbing thing of it.
Oh my God!
Or maybe she just shakes it off and goes, "Ugh." I don't know.
Well, I don't know the context. I don't know the context of who this guy is, but I thought she would say something like racier, like you wanted pussy, you got it.
Yeah, you know what? I actually do have something written on the board that's like that, but yeah.
But oh my God, it's probably funnier. Oh my God! Remember that? I was thinking about when you wrote that that script about, was it the truancy?
Oh, Dickie Hopper.
Dickie Hopper, right? Because I was thinking about, I was pondering what the hell are we going to talk about in regards to our first podcast tonight. And I was like, okay, well, I remember thinking about Arrested Development and how that narration, the Ron Howard narration, was actually was a good influence on you for Dickie Hopper. It was just very dry.
Yeah. Yeah. I came into you didn't take TV writing, right?
No, I didn't. Not that one.
Yeah, I remember when I read that, and Joan Brooker thought it was hilarious. And she's like, I mean, I thought it was, I was like, man, she's going to think this is really misogynist.
Right.
And she was just like, where did you come up with, where'd you come up with Marines with tangerines? Which is supposed to be the dirty movie that Kate Dennis, his partner, was,
partner.
She was kind of dishonorably, removed from
duty.
She probably had like a nice job in the police force or something. I don't know. I can't remember now. But she was in some dirty movie called Marines with Tangerines. And then there was a sequel. There was a sequel called Marines with Tangerines 2, The Nectarine Connection.
Okay. This begs the question, right? This is something I wonder. This begs the question, right? Where I have something that I want to ask you. Like you have a lot of material laying around. It sounds like. And I guess for Babe Mateague, but you have all these. You do have like various scripts in various stages of completion, right? Don't you?
Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff around.
I mean, you know what? It's one of the things I learned looking back on the stuff I wrote was that it's only as alive as you make it. So I feel like you have plenty of material that you've accumulated over the years to bring to life if you wanted it to, right? It's just a matter of just opening, getting it out of the box or the closet or whatever, and just reading it again. You're like, okay, I'll change this over here, change that over there, and maybe adapt it for one way or another.
Yeah, I've thought about some of that stuff. I mean, I'll be honest. Not everything that I would, even some of the stuff I thought was really good.
Yeah,
I look back on it and I go, that was kind of silly. I mean, when it came to like the especially with the TV writing class.
Yeah.
Like none of the people in the class knew how to write television, like at all, and it all showed.
Right,
right. That includes me.
Sure.
I mean, I'm not to pass on really great stories here, but I do remember that said something about working on Alf.
Yeah.
And I asked her, I was like, what was it like working on Alf? And she said, really good cocaine.
Oh, Jesus. Comes out. These things are coming out.
Yeah.
It's time.
She may have been joking. I don't know.
Really good. Something tells me, maybe she wasn't.
Yeah. So.
I don't know. I don't think so.
What the hell was I saying?
For
me,
all
taking
the stuff.
the TV writing, the TV writing thing was like me just trying to learn how to write an episode.
Sure.
Because it's like it's self-contained and also needs to leave the door open for another episode.
Yeah, right.
So it's like you're working on continuing character, and that's why I think some of it was a little odd. I mean, I drew from a lot of things that were very tropey.
Yeah.
I had the one where the guy was the mayor of the town and he was still in high school, which I think actually got turned into a TV show. Like, not that one, but I think somebody actually did something like that.
Wait a minute. Yes. Yeah. This was fairly recently, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think Sabrina watched it and she's like, it's about this guy who becomes the mayor of this town. Is it the same thing that like it was this guy who was like just doing it for like just to BS around and all of a sudden he ends up being mayor of the town? Was it the same? Was this? No.
Maybe. Yeah. Mine though was the guy got kicked out of high school on a technicality. His girlfriend got pregnant by I don't know. We'll just say everybody on the football team. But he's the one who's being accused of having gotten her pregnant, even though everybody knows he didn't. And his best friend is Satan, who comes through his window into his bedroom. And when he comes in, he's like, he says, I'm like, hey, Danny. And he goes, hi, Satan. How you doing?
I do remember that. Yes, I remember this.
Yeah, and he goes, he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't, I got expelled from school. He's like, I can't go get, I don't know what I can do for a job. And, Satan just says to him, he's like, hey, why don't you run for mayor? And he goes, we already have a mayor. And he goes, yeah, but he's going to die in like 10 minutes. So, yeah.
But then again, though, it's like, hey, listen, I'm laughing. I don't know if it's because I have a low threshold for humor at 10:37 p.m. after like a 15-hour day. But 15-hour day. Oh my God, are you kidding me? I don't even care. I can't compute numbers right now. But I mean, the thing is, the point I'm trying to make is when at least you have, material that you can still, that's still there. That's still, regardless of how. Look, okay, I'll put it this way, right? I saw this thing with Scorsese. Oh my God, what was he talking about? It was just like I think it was like part of his master class, right? And he was talking about how some of these guys that he looked up to would actually, like, in spite of how they felt about the work that they do, right? People would come up to them and say, "Oh, this is great, and then they go like, "Oh, that was crap." But that's how they wouldn't maybe not say it all the time, but they'd probably feel some sort of resentment, thinking, "Okay, well, why do these people like the work that I don't like at all?" It's just it succeeds in spite of them. And with that in mind, it's like, how do you go about having this stuff, right, that you put work into, or maybe not, you don't put that much work into, but you have fun writing or whatever, that just starts piling up. And then at what point do you be like, holy shit, I really, regardless of how I feel about it, maybe I should think about, going through it, and if not actually producing the damn thing, but editing it enough so I'm still a little bit satisfied with it. Hello, I'm here.
Yeah, okay. No, sorry, I lost you there.
Oh no, I'm here. I'm here.
The line went dead.
It's just like I guess the hanging question was kind of like, all right. Well, at one point, do you be like, okay, do you like look past whatever shortcomings you think this stuff has, and you're like, okay, do I go back and try to make it a little better somehow, or do I just say, fuck it, I'm just gonna see what's there and just put it out there, maybe. In some form or fashion, right? Like, I mean, you can have these, like, you can have these scripts that you've written. Granted that you wrote them like years and years ago, but you can still update them to the point where it's like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna make a podcast out of this, or I'm gonna make a radio thing out of this, and maybe have my wife animate it and adapt it to the point where it's like, okay, it's gonna be on YouTube, and I don't care because it's just now I need to get something out there. And it can be just anything almost, and just you can just put it out. Do you ever have like thoughts like that where it's like, okay, shit, I have to do this. I have all this material. What the hell am I going to do with it, basically?
Yeah, no, it does kind of weigh on me that it makes for a great we'll call it like joint reading or so, with the other thing that I'm working on myself, which is kind of me addressing a lot of that, because I'm sure there's even things from school about me and some others that you might not even be kind of aware of when it came to some of the work that we were doing. It's a lot of it makes me feel very bitter and at the same time a little guilty.
Sure.
It's it's a little frustrating.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just feel like like I guess in regards to you, I feel like I do feel that from you actually. Like there's this whole lot of, not trauma's the word, but definitely like resentment that you feel about this stuff.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
but no, but really though, because it's like, but it's I don't know if we want to talk about this in the recording or whatever. Just say no easily, and then we can just move on or just wrap up or whatever. But it's just one of those things where it's like, just okay. It's like, okay, we live through that life, and I mean, what I'm doing now, it's kind of like, okay, how do I still manifest something that I feel like I can be proud of, or can apply my, technique or intuition or whatever towards that I can just show to people. I'm like, hey, you know what? This isn't that bad. And it's sad because it's sort of, I mean, Scorsese, I think, recently said, well, I don't know if he said this recently, but he talked about how loathsome it was to him that all this stuff that people produce nowadays is referred to as content. When I was growing up, I didn't think of this as content. Maybe it was a maturity thing, but it was sort of like you live in your own, you go into these different worlds. And it wasn't just something to occupy your time with. In a way, it was something like, for me, it was something, I don't know if you felt like this too, Shawn, in regards to like, movies, especially in general, but, these aren't just, just escapes that when I was growing up, I don't know if I still feel this way. Sometimes I certainly do, but when you were growing up and you were exposed to yes, this kind of media and films almost all the time. And then when you start learning that you could actually start doing it and contribute to the conversation or the world building or whatever, that it becomes trivialized. I think when you just refer to it, when somebody just refers to it as content, we have to get content for this app or content for this thing or the other. Whereas, I think it becomes more immersive than what that suggests. I don't know where I'm going with this. It was just one of those things where it's like, no, seriously, it's like, okay, how do you separate kind of like, okay, what I do, okay, I think of it as art, maybe proudly, maybe it's art, maybe it's not, who cares? But I think of it as this thing that I do that makes me just escape into some place and makes it more than just, content. I may feel content doing it, but at the same time, it's like, how do you prevent the feelings of being trivialized, right? Of like not wanting to give into whatever, bullshit kind of maybe superficial standards that, corporate whatever says, okay, you're a content creator. This is content. The people aren't referred to as artists anymore. They're just, they're just creatives. Right. And yeah, it's like you can't refer to them as an artist. Maybe that's too weighty, right? That's too deep. We need to refer to them as something superficial and accessible, like creatives, where like they wear their own little hats, they do their own little things, but then at the end of the day, we're the one who calls the shots, and then they can do whatever they want. And then they're satiated with their money and their health insurance, and they go back to whatever little hole that they sleep in each night with whatever partner they may have, But where does that end up contributing to like me looking at me asking the big questions? Like, what does that end up contributing to like our, I don't know, health, right? It's like you get a sense that when you watch these guys who make these films, like even back in the day and even the 70s, and these guys we talked about earlier with Spielberg and all of them, in the 70s, 80s, given to some extent in the 90s, there was a real kind of like, maybe this is like a superficial thing, but it was kind of like there was a real kind of like endeavor that seemed to be happening, especially in the films like from like the 30s and the 40s. I mean, granted, there were still scandals and all that stuff happening, right? But at the same time, you watch some of that stuff from back then, and it really feels like novels are on the screen. It just felt like the details were so sumptuous sometimes that it ended up giving the works, the films a different, like an extra layer of life that maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm too jaundiced to see in movies nowadays. But you know what I'm talking about.
I will agree with you.
Yeah. So I know we talk about, or at least I'm rambling on about like trying to find like meaning in the work that we do nowadays, right? Especially when things can be so like, overtly kind of chummy, but secretly probably kind of, not, and more cynical about it than anything. I don't know. How do you how do we go about like combating this? And the reason I guess the reason I'm bringing this all up is because, I think we both are a little bit, is that we do feel kind of like mired or stuck or whatever, and trying to get the trying to put the key in the ignition and just hoping that the engine turns on a little bit, and hoping that the car moves a little bit forward, right, with what we do. I don't know if that's too I don't know. Is that too much of a sugarcoat? Because I'm trying to sort of find some sort of way of articulating it.
No, I would. That's the question.
Right.
Yeah, what I find kind of humorous as a side here is we're getting into the heavy stuff, like this far in. It's
Sure.
almost like you had to warm up a bit.
Yeah, that's me.
I'm trying to find that balance, like personally.
Mm-hmm.
I have actually, this is really interesting. You're not even the only one that I speak to about this kind of thing. But I would say you probably are one of the people who talks to me about it in a more level way.
Oh, okay.
Whereas there is at least, I would say that there are other people that kind of makes it seem like they're trying to use whatever juice I have to help them get their engine going.
Yeah.
And I'm like, for me, and go not we know not where was a great way for me to kind of like break off and just be like, there's something still here.
Yes. Yes.
So,
I concur with that 1,000%. Yes.
I didn't want to wait this long to have to get back doing this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's almost like exercising, and I kind of
yes
completely atrophy. I'm trying to find some voice in this, and I kind of said before, I was like, this whole like non-narrative project thing. It's just been kind of like exercises for me to try and get this voice built back. The step after that gets a little more difficult, though.
No, but you know what? I agree 1,000% with regards to the exercising part. It does feel like you're working some sort of muscle, inward skill or muscle group, a creative muscle group or something when you actually do this kind of stuff. And God, I guess we're so lazy, right? Because can you imagine actually, people that we went to school with who actually, I sometimes feel very ashamed of myself. Because, I've actually worked with people that we went to school with on a production that was just miserable. And these people sort of toughed through it. Well, I was like, this is horrible, right? First of all, I can't even understand the damn script. And I was like one of like the only ones who in a very open meeting said to the director and writer of this project, like, I don't understand your script. And I've read this thing a few times. I mentioned this to you before. And here I was with people all around me who were was doing this job just to do a job. That's the impression I got, that they don't want to question what it, overtly is because, you're deferring to the director. And I've never ever seen the final project of this thing that I worked on. But it just was sort of, maybe it's the trauma of working regardless of what field you're in, because I think I don't know if I'm too idealistic, but I feel like people do want to put their best foot forward most of the time, depending on the person, right? Yeah. And they will gladly help you if they're even they get a smidge of something close to what they have in mind for themselves, right? Just a little tiny smidge of like. Of if they even move like one centimeter closer to making their movie that they want to make or something, right? And they're working on a crew, and they're gosh darn it, they're just so happy to be there because maybe they know how hard it is to get on this crew otherwise, right? They will help you. But the thing is, humans are not just a one-time only deal; they're a complete package. So these people, they may be shy to tell you some things. But it's not like they don't have opinions on stuff. And Sean, I'm telling you, I read the script a few fucking times and I did not understand it. And I was the only one who told this dude, like I do not get your script. And should I have kept my mouth shut? Should I have just sucked it out, work this god awful production, and then just hung on for the next one and for the next one, and maybe meet a celebrity or something, and then build connections, and then murk my way up from the murky depths, as it were, to things that are a bit more substantial. All the while driving myself crazy. Was that better than the life path that I ended up having so far? Where I work at Amazon for about like almost 11 hours, for 4 days a week, but at the end of the day, I can just be like, okay, this is my work life and this is my home life and the rest of my life, and I have that sweet freedom to do what I want in between. Yeah. I'm not sure. Maybe the first path was better and the second path was a loser. Maybe I'm calling myself a loser in the roundabout way. I'm not sure, but it's still kind of it can drive you mad thinking about this kind of stuff.
Yeah. But before this becomes a problem, I got to tell you, my computer's about to die.
Oh, okay. Do you want to wrap up for now, and then we'll just continue?
Probably should, because
yes.
I don't know where the plug is.
All right. Well, So I don't know what the hell this is that we just did for like a few hours. I guess this is the ShJuawnCast.
Oh my God!
We'll have to figure it out.
That's going to be renamed.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that.
Just so you do know, I did a test podcast the other day. It's about 7 minutes long.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's called Eight Ways to Sunday, and it's about the octopus from Aquaman.
Okay. Where did you upload this somewhere? Where is this?
I didn't upload it yet. I'll send it over to you.
Please do. Yeah. Please do. Now we're going to start talking about... Well, I mean, you know what? Can I... Maybe... what's your percentage on your computer? Can you tell me how long you have before we have to wrap up?
3%.
Oh, my God. All right. Well, really quick. Okay, well, in that case... You should have gotten your plug, you asshole. In that case, I guess I should say that great time talking with you, buddy. Things aren't looking... Yeah, sometimes they can look pretty damn dark, but, I think we can just pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and just keep on going a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think as long as we just, keep in mind to listen to that voice inside us, the you know what I mean, the intuition part of it or God or whatever. Because I feel like, and you learn stuff along the way. So there's that. So I think I'm going to leave it like that. Hopefully that wasn't too hokey.
No, it's I agree with you.
Do you want to do another one? Another recording one day?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Oh,
you have a good night.
This was great. Yeah, this was really great. And, everybody out there, watch out for the hemogoblins.
I'm terrified. Woo! I don't know about you.
Okay.
Coming this Halloween, the hemogoblins, which is probably it's not a scary movie in the traditional sense, but it's still pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. All right. Yeah, I guess I'll send you a text when when I upload the damn thing.
Okay.
All right. See you later, man. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.